I'm going to give The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild a gallant rating of 5 out of 5. And that's just the core game. The flaws were there, of course, but not enough to sway my opinion.
My God, 5 years does a lot to a person. What up everyone, I'm GallantHavoc and I'm back with another review. Well, it's not exactly a review, more like a reflection. Looking back on something special. And in this case, it's very special for 3 reasons. 1, it was my first real video and review. 2nd, it was one of the best video games to come out in the last decade. And 3rd, with Tears of the Kingdom releasing today, I thought it best to look back on what came before. And that game is The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild. Six years have come and gone since Breath of the Wild came out. In that time, I have grown not only as an individual, but a content creator as well. I gotta say, my content has come a long way since semi-baby-faced GallantHavoc. Still not much of a beard going on though. But anyway, with all that being said, has my opinion on Breath of the Wild changed at all in the past 6 years? In some ways yes, in some ways no. I'll be honest, myself and many others have continued playing the game well after completing it umpteen times, which is honestly part of the game's charm. The world of Hyrule is your oyster in this case, where it's literally given to you on a silver platter and says,
"Open your eyes,"
and go. I've sunk hours just doing the most menial tasks while roaming around, whether it be killing enemies, exploring locations, hunting, hanging around settlements, enjoying the scenery, or collecting the goddamn 900 Korok seeds, which we know, to some capacity, are returning in Tears of the Kingdom. 1800 this time. I honestly don't know. But that is easily Breath of the Wild's biggest draw. The freedom. The choice to explore Hyrule at your leisure. Climbing sheer cliffsides to get a better lay of the land, paragliding across the sky to get from point A to point B quicker, while still being able to see points of interest, riding your horse and taking in the scenery. Or the more zany ways like using the game's immersive physics engine to surf on a flying tree trunk or a slab of rock using the stasis rune, my personal favorite. Anyway, let's be honest, taking in the scenery is inevitable. This game looks gorgeous, even for a game made for hardware not as powerful as its counterparts. The cel-shaded graphics almost always look good after all, but the sheer size and scale of Hyrule in this game, my god. Goddess. Yeah, let's go with Goddess. Theoretically, 80 square kilometers, give or take. And that's without the verticality. As said before, you can climb sheer cliff sides that overlook beautiful vistas. See something interesting in the distance? Paraglide down to it or take a stroll. You'll never know what you'll find. And the world is far from empty too. It is ripe with life and things to do. There are many inhabitants roaming the otherwise post-apocalyptic Hyrule, whether living in the settlements or stables, or traveling on the road, selling wares, or just offering small conversations, or side quests all around. Speaking of side quests, there's also the 120 Sheikah shrines, offering mini dungeon-like puzzles that offer spirit orbs to upgrade your hearts and stamina, one of which I have right here. I still find it annoying you can't max out one or the other though. You either have full hearts, or you have full stamina. There's no in between. And although the game has an admittedly small variety of enemies compared to other Zelda games, there's still plenty of combat. And the combat system itself is simple, but deep enough to keep it interesting. Some weapons work better than others, with one-handed weapons like swords, or two-handed greatswords and axes, or spears, as well as boomerangs and bows and arrows. Or the more comical weapons like tree branches and mops. Hey, bokoblin. clean up your act. And each of them you can throw as well, making them very versatile, until they break. Biggest downfall of the combat, if you ask me. I understand wanting the player to experiment with other weapons, but there's a right way and wrong way of doing it, which again, thankfully, Tears of the Kingdom seems to be fixing with the new fuse mechanic. Anyway, the enemies, though limited, are extremely fun to fight, and they're even in-depth as creatures living in the world. They have personality, sleeping at night, dancing around campfires. They offer more than just monsters that just sit there waiting to be slaughtered, which they still kinda do. Then there's the Guardians, and the dreaded Lionels.
Please don't break my butt.
Okay.
Truly?
No.
Sure, 6 years later, they are much easier to take down, but goddamn, they're still a chore, especially in Master Mode. Speaking of, the DLC adds a lot of welcome extras to the game, expanding on the story, adding a tracker with the hero's path that helps you keep track of where you've been, which I have maxed out multiple times over, and giving you the gauntlet that is the Trial of the Sword to unlock the true potential of the Master Sword. Sort of, anyway. I still wish they'd give us an indestructible Master Sword, but I see why they put that limitation in. And you also have the real final boss of the game, Sheikah Monk Maz Koshia, who gave us a much better fight than old Piggy Ganon. Talk about underwhelming boss fights. And this is goddamn motherfucking Ganon. His first Frankenstein form as Calamity Ganon was an actually really cool idea, and was a decent fight. Then there's Dark Beast Ganon, also known as Target Practice. The returning Ganondorf had better put on a better fight, cause his presentation, for all the marketing of Tears of the Kingdom, looks so goddamn awesome.
Do not look away. You witness a king's revival, and the birth of his new world.
Now, speaking of Ganon and Ganondorf, the story. Breath of the Wild handled its story in a very different way compared to its earlier Zelda game counterparts, becoming almost entirely disjointed and non-linear. In place of a linear story like the game itself, you can tackle the 4 major areas in any order you wish. Then there's the memories, since Link is an amnesiac in this game. Optionally, you need to locate each area in the album of your Sheikah Slate, to piece together what happened before and during the Great Calamity, the event that caused Hyrule to become the way it is. Now, while this change was interesting, and I did find myself caring for the champions Daruk, Mipha, and Urbosa, not Revali, dick, it kinda robbed the game of having a coherent story to personally live through and truly attach yourself to the characters. There is the alternative choice though. Skip the story entirely and go straight to Hyrule Castle to confront Ganon, a tactic I highly advise against if you're first trying out the game. But hey, if you have a death wish, be my guest. So with all that said and done, what do I think of Breath of the Wild 6 years later? I still love it. It has definitely become what I call a cushion game. A safe space you can kind of just fall back into and shoot the shit for a while. And that is why I'm giving The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild a gallant rating of 9 out of 10.
I'm surprised to admit it, but I can accept that.
Is it my favorite Zelda game? No, that's easily Ocarina of Time, if you don't know me. If I were to rank them, let's say top 5, it'd go Ocarina, Twilight Princess, Majora's Mask, Breath of the Wild, and then Wind Waker. Don't get me wrong, I love all Zelda games, except the CDI games, obviously.
Oh god! Oh my god! Oh my god! You can't hurt anyone anymore.
Those 5 are just the big ones for me, but we don't know how Tears of the Kingdom will do yet. And I'd be lying if I said I wasn't excited. Just look at my reactions. But anyway, that about wraps it up for this reflection, review, retrospective thing. So in the meantime, folks, I am GallantHavoc. Wreak some havoc, and I'll see you in the next one. Now, if you'll excuse me, Tears of the Kingdom awaits.
soul.